Do you find yourself framing every single decision? Then you might be suffering from the need for other people's approval. These are habits and a way that you can frame your life that can allow you to become more independent. Let's look at the root cause between why we as humans typically look for others' approval. This comes down to a tribalistic mentality of our forefathers in terms of how we used to live together in tribes. What we would do would affect those around us, and we would be heavily judged by the members of the tribe that were around us. The way that we are treated as children, the way that we got love from our parents also has an effect on how and why we seek approval. If you find yourself in a scenario where the only time that you would gain the approval of your parents would be through acting out or lashing out or doing things that would call their attention to you. At the same time, if you're someone that was maybe overly coddled, you always look for the approval of your parents in everything that you do. So knowing where your need for approval stems from is the first step. When you consistently are looking for other people's approval, you become paralyzed. You become paralyzed because every single decision or action that you need to take ends up being heavily framed within the reference of what would this person think about this action? How would you even know what someone else would think about a specific scenario? You end up going so far down that rabbit hole, trying to assume every single permutation and combination of what this person might think or what this group might think, that you end up not being able to take a decision at all. What are some signs that you may be excessively seeking external validation? The first one is what we call as paralysis by analysis, where you find difficulty in taking a decision and sticking with it because you consider all of the scenarios of what others might say. 2 is when you hold a resentment for others without even realizing. You hold the resentment for others when you believe that the actions that you're taking or the way that your life is shaping up is not in your hands. And the reason you're taking said actions is because of the unspoken expectations of others. It's also when you find yourself straying further and further away from your core. And you just find yourself straying away from the person that you know that you must become. Does this go to say that we shouldn't care about what anything that anyone says? Of course not. Also, the extreme where all you care about is yourself and all you care about is how you see yourself is also a form of narcissism. You should be open to changing. You should be open to getting better. But you should understand that if there's a consistency in your need to get feedback because you have a lack of self-confidence or self-esteem in the decisions that you're taking, then perhaps it's not about gaining constructive feedback. What is one of the biggest and easiest ways that we become less dependent on others? First is about knowing what your boundaries are, what you actually can or cannot tolerate. The things that you can tolerate, sure, these become gray zones, or these become areas where you can compromise. You can be more lenient. In the areas that you cannot tolerate or you cannot sort of have that boundary be crossed, these are areas where you have to put a firm limit. You must be willing to engage and you must be willing to sort of support what is authentic and what is real about you without bending to the will of others. You need to be able to cultivate an ability to be self-aware, to know when the trigger of dependency is happening. When you're being dependent on the approval of someone else, you can catch yourself in the middle. Oh, now I'm taking a decision that is solely based off of what someone else might say about this, and I'm not taking it from an authentic place. Also, you need to be very, very conscious that you cannot please everyone. Everyone is going to have an opinion. You cannot please everyone. You cannot have everyone be on your side. And that's normal. That's completely normal. It's important to know when you're making a change, when you're becoming less dependent on others. I used to be the kind of person that would think 10 times about what I should do or where I should go before I'm going on a night out because of what other people might say. Well, the next time you're able to catch yourself in the middle of that, give yourself a moment to say, okay, I acknowledge that this was a step in the right direction. Celebrate that small achievement. It's in acknowledging those small moments that you build them towards bigger and bigger moments. At the same time, you need to hone a strong understanding of what your core beliefs are, what your core values are, and know when you are staying true to yourself and when you're straying away from the center point. This is all to say that you have one life and one unique opportunity to live the impact that you wish to have. Understand that the opinions of others are only as important as the importance that you assign to them. You can frame the same opinion of someone in 2 ways. You can either give it all of the weight in the world and allow it to paralyze you and allow it to completely stop you dead in your tracks toward the person you want to become, or you can take it for what it is. A personalized reflection from someone who is not in your shoes, who doesn't understand what is in your heart of hearts and what is in your mind and where you wish to go.